Who is Matt? How, like, what he was doing before and how he became an MP?
That's a big question, Jolly. Well, look, first and foremost, I'm a husband. I'm a veteran, truck driver and former seafarer, and probably a barbecue enthusiast. I really enjoy getting the charcoal out and doing low and slow barbecue. But I guess, for me, I grew up in Mildura in regional Australia. I grew up on a farm with my mother and father, and from there learnt the value of a hard day's work.
ਨਮਸਕਾਰ, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਆਦਾਬ। ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਦੋਸਤ ਤੇ ਹੋਸਟ ਜੋਲੀ ਗਰਗ ਪੇਂਡੂ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਦੇ ਖਾਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਖਾਸ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਖਾਸ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਨਾਲ। ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਰੀਸੈਂਟ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ, ਲੇਬਰ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਜੋਰਟੀ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫੇਰ ਤੋਂ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ 'ਚ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਐਂਥਨੀ ਐਲਬਨੀਜ਼ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਤੋਂ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਦੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਬਣੇ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਅਫਕੋਰਸ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ MPs ਦੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਨਾਲ ਬਣਿਆ। ਲੇਬਰ ਨੇ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਇੱਕ ਦਹਾਕੇ ਤੋਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਐਸੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਸ ਵਾਰ ਬੜੀ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਮੈਜੋਰਟੀ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਨੇ, ਮੈਟ ਬਰਨਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ MP ਨੇ ਸਪੈਂਸ ਤੋਂ। ਸਪੈਂਸ ਇੱਕ ਏਰੀਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਨਾਰਦਰਨ ਸਬਰਬ ਆਫ ਐਡਲੇਡ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕਿ ਪਲੇਫੋਰਡ, ਸੈਲਸਬਰੀ ਐਂਡ ਆਲ ਦੋਜ਼ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਏਰੀਆਜ਼ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਅਤੇ ਸਪੈਂਸ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ MP ਮੈਟ ਬਰਨਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਮੈਟ ਟੂ ਦ Pendu Australia studio. Thank you very much for coming.
Well, thank you very much for having me today, Jolly. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and get to speak not just with yourself but with the broader Punjab community.
Of course. Thank you very much. As we discussing before, so we as a Pendu Australia, we take a pride because now we are million plus subscribers. And not only that is only the official subscribers, and when that our videos and sometimes little reels they got what we say out, then some of them is not being even counted as well. So thank you very much, and Labour is always being supportive, and we like to know much more about what happens and in this last elections, how that Labour, what was the policies, how that Labour get in, and we like to know a little bit more about it. Before that, I would like to know, Matt Burnell, who is Matt? How, like, what he was doing before and how he became an MP?
That's a big question, Jolly. Well, look, first and foremost, I'm a husband. I'm a veteran, truck driver and former seafarer. And probably a barbecue enthusiast. I really enjoy getting the charcoal out and doing low and slow barbecue. But I guess, for me, I grew up in Mildura in regional Australia. I grew up on a farm with my mother and father, and from there learnt the value of a hard day's work. Often for no pay, because when you work on a family farm, there's more days without pay than with pay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But ultimately, it was the founding blocks of what gave me a lot of the ethics required to be successful in my working life. And over the last 27 odd years, since leaving high school, I've been very fortunate to always be employed and to eventually end up somehow as a politician in Australia's federal parliament. And it's been probably the biggest honour of my life to be elected as the member of Spence, not once but now twice.
That's great. That's a good news.
Which I guess segues into the recent election, which we've got a historic outcome for the Australian Labor Party.
Yes. Is it? We'd like to know more about it. Is it happen only this time, or is it happened before, like this much of the swing?
I think that we've had elections where we've seen swings like this before. I think what makes this election so unique this time round is that, from my understanding, this is the first time that we've had an incumbent government get re-elected with a bigger majority, where we didn't lose any sitting members apart from those seats that were abolished prior to the election. So to end up with 94 seats, I don't think anyone would have read that in the tea leaves.
Absolutely.
I think it's a testament to all of my colleagues from the 47th Parliament, but to every single new member of Parliament in this 48th Parliament, the hard work that they did as candidates on the ground during the last 12 months roughly leading into this election.
Spot on. It's not been possible without this hard work had been done. ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਮੈਟ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ 94 ਸੀਟਸ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਨੈਕਸਟ ਟਰਮ ਇੱਕ ਟਰਮ 'ਚ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਲੇਬਰ ਰੂਲਿੰਗ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਹੈ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਫੇਰ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ 94 ਸੀਟਾਂ ਫੇਰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਣੀਆਂ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਸਵਿੰਗ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਨਰਲੀ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ 5 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇੱਕ ਟ੍ਰੈਂਡ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਲੇਬਰ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਚੇਂਜ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦਾ ਜੇ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਆਫ ਕੋਰਸ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਚੇਂਜਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਵਾਰ 94 ਸੀਟਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਲੇਬਰ ਆਈ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫੇਰ ਤੋਂ ਕੰਗ੍ਰੈਚੁਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਮੈਟ ਸਪੈਂਸ how big this area is and what is if we say council wise in South Australia how many councils comes in that area?
So it's a little over 500 square kilometres. It's a pretty large metropolitan seat. We have quite a large peri-urban boundary which is the intersection between essentially what is the CBD or city sprawl and then regional South Australia. So we encompass the city of Salisbury, the city of Playford, the town of Gawler, the Barossa Light Regional Council and the Adelaide Plains Council. They all have varying degrees of overlap within the electorate of Spence. The single largest council body would be the city of Playford. So we have around 139,000 voters and close to 200,000 residents within the seat. So it's quite a large electorate. It's the largest on a voter base in South Australia. And it's the fastest growing region here in South Australia as well.
It is. I'm also from real estate industry and I can see that there's a lot happening in that area, isn't it? Especially when we say, when you said Playford. Playford is like the Riverlea, his new estate comes up there, then Anglevale, Meadowvale and all those Andrews Farms. And why is that? We can see there's a lot of houses popping there. What government is doing still the housing is not being very affordable. So is there anything government is doing to make the housing affordable?
Yeah, look, I think that's why in our last term of government we had a lot of frustrations with the issues that we were having with the Greens Party blocking our Housing Australia Future Fund in the Senate. But I guess from a broad perspective, there's a supply issue across not just South Australia but across the country. We need to get more houses into the market to help try and bring about some cost relief for homeowners out across not just my electorate but all across Australia. It's never been harder to buy a home and there is so much competition to get a house that's at an affordable price. The only way that we can essentially apply a form of a handbrake on that is to put more housing stock into the market. So the Housing Australia Future Fund, the Help to Buy program, the rent to buy that's just been recently talked about here in South Australia, especially with the state government. These are important initiatives and policy frameworks to help try and keep a lid on housing prices whilst increasing supply into the market.
It is. ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ Honourable Matt ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਹਾਊਸਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੱਟ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਉਸ ਏਰੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕਲੀ ਨਾਰਥ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਐਸੀਆਂ ਨਵੀਆਂ ਸਟੇਟਸ ਆ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਇੱਕੋ ਹੀ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹਾਊਸ ਬਣਾਏ ਜਾਣ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ 'ਤੇ ਠੀਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰਯਾਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਹਾਊਸਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ ਐਂਡ ਮੈਟ ਵਨ ਥਿੰਗ ਹੀਅਰ ਦ ਫਸਟ ਹੋਮ ਬਾਇਰ ਇਜ਼ ਗੈਟਿੰਗ ਦ ਬੈਨੀਫਿਟ ਆਫ ਨੋ stamp duty they're paying, right? And they're also getting a little bit of like first home buyer grants as well. But still, there's so many people which they are not permanent residents yet, but they are on the ladder to getting a permanent resident. They are getting afraid because the pricing going up. And what government is thinking to helping those people, because I heard Queensland in somewhere, even that Labor is the, labor there in Queensland as well. But those people who are on a specific visa, they're not permanent resident, they are also not paying stamp duty. Is that something like that we can think about in South Australia?
I think that I need to be careful that I don't get myself involved in jurisdictional issues that are outside my remit.
Yes.
So, as a federal member, we don't have jurisdictional input on a state government mandate. So state government dictates who does and doesn't pay stamp duty. I guess what we need to be clear about though is here in South Australia, the government's been very clear about providing stamp duty for new first home buyers, specifically for the reason of what we were talking about before around supply. We can't bring down prices or maintain a cap on housing prices if we're not building new homes.
Yes.
So it doesn't make sense for us to incentivise the removal of stamp duty on existing homes because that doesn't put new homes into the market.
Fair enough.
Encouraging and incentivising young people my age and older to buy new homes, that has a direct input into increasing supply.
Yes.
So do I think that the state government's pursuing the right policy setting for South Australia? Look, I think that if that increases supply of houses here in SA, then that's the policy that we need.
Fair enough. Thank you very much for answering those. Even though many more people are looking to get that stamp duty abolishment, not on the existing homes, even on the new homes, but those are not permanent resident that we are thinking of. But that's fine. That sometimes jurisdiction is, you're not able to dictate what needs to be done or not. Recently, अपने community ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ news सुनी है ਆਪਾਂ channels ਤੇ ਵੀ ਸੁਣੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ government ਨੇ ਲਗਭਗ $250 million ਨਾਰਥ ਨੂੰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਰਟਿਸ ਰੋਡ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕ ਰੋਡ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਨੈਕਟ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਬਰਬਸ ਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਅਪਗ੍ਰੇਡ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਟ ਤੋਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਸ 250 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਨਾਲ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਕੀ ਕਰਨ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਐਂਡ ਮੈਟ recently there was a grant came up for $250 million that is for specifically for the Curtis Road upgrade that we heard about it. Why is that specific that road only, and what is going to be happen with that $250 million?
Well, so I first of all I would say that as a government, we actively canvass the whole of the electorate and the whole of the state looking for roads that need federal government intervention. Now, my remit obviously is the electorate of Spence, and whilst this time round Curtis Road seems to be the lucky recipient, there's quite a number of roads that I have that I'm looking at on a regular basis and trying to find solutions for. So this time round, in the March budget, after a lot of work with state government and my federal colleagues, we were able to secure $125 million from the federal government towards the Curtis Road grade separation of the train line. And that's just been recently matched by the state government with another $125 million.
Yes. So when you say the separation for the that train line, so is that going to be under the train line or above the train line?
So it's going through a planning process at the moment, a more detailed plan, but from the artistry that we have currently seen, the artist's impression is an overpass. And look, it makes sense to do that because the last thing we need to do is interrupt the train line after just having made that or having the electrification go through. But this road is a critical east-west connector, connecting people from Main North Road to the Northern Expressway. And it's moving a lot of people, and we know that. And when you've got the boom gates down for approximately 15 minutes every hour, it's creating significant congestion issues. So what we have sought to do is ensure that this solution is future-proofed. So it'll be dual lane in both directions to accommodate increased traffic flow over not just the next few years, but over the next couple of decades. So, this is about trying to do things right the first time round. And I guess on Curtis Road, for most of the viewers at home that have driven down Curtis Road, they understand the complexities associated with this road. And there's been a lot of talk about Curtis Road, what needs to be done and who should do what. And the reality is this is a state and federal Labor government getting on with the job of doing, not talking, and delivering for people in the northern suburbs. Something that I said when I first got elected that I would stand up and do is make sure that people's voices were heard and that we would deliver. And Curtis Road, with the grade separation, this is going to make a huge difference. It's not the final solution. There's still more work that needs to be done, and that will be ongoing over the coming 3 years. We'll hopefully get more solutions on the table.
That's great.
But at the same time, we've got a lot of pressures across the northern suburbs. It's growing at a rapid rate of knots.
Yes.
So we do have more vehicles, and part of that solution is actually encouraging more people to use public transport, and strengthening public transport across the electorate is vital in my view to helping ease traffic congestion.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you, Matt, for that, to be explaining like how this could benefit to everyone who's living in that area and encouraging more and more people to getting their new housing in that area as well. And Matt, in overall, if we like to know, as a federal MP and in the state of South Australia, what specific is going to be happen which not happened in so many years? People might be trying to get it done in that area. Not only for that, we just talk about it, that this expansion is happening, housing is coming up, Curtis Road is upgrade is happening. What else which we don't know is going to happen in that area to make it more livable and more prosperity in the area?
Yeah, look, I think holistically, when you look at the amount of growth that the northern suburbs are going to get over the next 10 to 30 years, there's absolute need for expansion in critical infrastructure. And I guess that this goes in part with some of the recent announcements by the state government to deliver a new primary school and a new high school in the Air precinct. Super school.
In the Air precinct,
So within the city of Playford, this will be significant investment. I think it's around $150 million for the high school. But really, really important to ensure that people in the northern suburbs have an opportunity to the same standard of education that many people in the western and eastern suburbs of South Australia currently are afforded, and it builds on what we currently have here already. So it is critical. There will be new shopping centres built in areas like Riverlea, along with I think it's Xavier have said that they will be building a private college there at Riverlea. There is some big expansion going on. But there's some big challenges that come with that, and I think we have to commend the state government for being proactive in earmarking the new linear park separation in Cuddler between Manapara and Gawler, because we need new sporting precincts and open spaces for people to be able to go and participate in recreational activities. It's important.
Outdoor activities, yes.
You can get out, walk around, and take the dog for a run, or the family out for a barbecue, etc. So, I think making sure that we keep an eye on the longer term objectives and then find the solutions in the shorter term to deliver the required infrastructure is critical. But one of the challenges that we are going to have is making sure that the current generation of children get the educational outcomes that they deserve and need to be able to participate in the workforce of tomorrow. We know that 9 in 10 jobs are going to require a vet or university degree qualification. If they don't have that, then they're severely disadvantaged compared to the rest of the population. Absolutely. So, it's been one of my most important focuses over the last 3 years, and will continue to be of high importance for my next 3 years. But it's also of high importance for our federal government. We delivered the 3-day guarantee for childcare to afford every single child in this country an opportunity to be school ready from the ages of 0 to 5. We've backed that up with the signing off of the school resource standard to 100% of that standard for all public schools, not just here in South Australia, but we've achieved that across the country prior to the election, which is another fantastic initiative. Building on that, once you leave school, There's generally two options, whether you choose a vocational education pathway and get a trade or something like, or to get a more formal qualification through university. Now that could also be building on qualifications you've earned through TAFE or a vet provider, and going from being more on the tools to more behind the scenes in engineering. It could be anything, any number of different pathways. So making sure that we have the education solutions from zero to university is critical to ensure that we have the workforce tomorrow. And when we look around our electorate, I just look down the road at Wamma Road, near RAF Base Edinburgh, and the deep maintenance modification facility that'll be operated by Boeing to service our P8 Poseidons. That is going to be right in the heart of our electorate, and will employ locally educated children. That our future workforce. We look across the ditch from my side of the electorate across into Mark Butler's electorate in Hindmarsh, where we have the Osborne Naval Shipbuilding Yard. That it will be part of our future AUKUS program. 20,000 people required to participate on that program. And those workers are going to have to come from not just South Australia but all over the country. So there is huge opportunities for work. We have to have the right educational levels there to ensure that every single citizen that wants a job can get a job.
That's great. That's very good to know about it. ਸਿੰਪਲ ਸ਼ਬਦਾਂ 'ਚ ਕਹੀਏ ਜੀ ਕਿ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਏਰੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ ਚਾਈਲਡ ਤੋਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੱਚਾ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਦੋਂ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੱਚਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲੀ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਉਹਦੀ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੀ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ, ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦਾ ਪੂਰਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜੀ। ਅਤੇ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕਲੀ ਸਪੈਂਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਟ ਦਾ ਏਰੀਆ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਚਾਈਲਡ ਕੇਅਰ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ 3 ਦਿਨ 3 days ਇਨ ਅ ਵੀਕ ਗਾਰੰਟੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਹਰ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਚਾਈਲਡ ਕੇਅਰ ਮਿਲੇਗਾ। ਉਹਦੀ ਘੱਟ ਤੋਂ ਘੱਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਪਰਮਾਨੈਂਟ ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਸਿਟੀਜ਼ਨ ਫੈਮਲੀਜ਼ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਣੇ ਪੈਣਗੇ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ 3 ਦਿਨ ਉਹ ਚਾਈਲਡ ਕੇਅਰ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ। ਅਤੇ ਦੂਜੀ ਗੱਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਜੌਬਸ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕਰੇਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕਲੀ ਉਸੇ ਏਰੀਏ ਦੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੌਬ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਏਗੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਦੇ ਐਜੂਕੇਟਰ ਬੱਚੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਫਰੈਂਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੋਏਗੀ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਸ ਏਰੀਏ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਸਕੇ ਕਿ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੌਬ ਮਿਲ ਸਕੇ। ਤਾਂ that is good to know that, Matt, like it's a lot because it's not many institute does, like if they are locally, teachers and all that you are procuring from there only. And is there going to be a cap, like how many percentage the teachers supposed to be from that area?
Oh, look, the specifics of that really are going to be dictated by the institutes. Something I did forget to mention is one of the common themes that I had come up throughout the last couple of years was the time to travel from the northern suburbs into the city and specifically down south to Flinders University to complete university degrees. And we were able to, in our last government, secure a suburban university study hub in the city of Playford in Elizabeth. So that'll be part of the Elizabeth TAFE campus, which will allow students from in the northern suburbs to come to a more centralised location and study remotely without the need to go into the city or down to Flinders, which is a huge advantage for a lot of young people in the north.
It is.
It takes away some of the barriers of time to travel, the inability to work and earn money, the fear of going from in the north into the city and being around a different group of people. It gives us the chance to be able to get young people to break down that fear of doing something for the first time, experiencing it, going, you know what, I can do this.
Why not just try and give it a go?
If that means that we can lift the level of higher education attainment in the northern suburbs, then this is a fantastic outcome for the north. And
it is.
It's something I'm very proud that we've been able to deliver. It's just the start. It's not the end. There is always more work to do.
Absolutely.
But my my firm belief, and it's, I think, a belief of the Labor Party, that education underpins so many of the things that are afforded to us in this life.
Yep.
So being able to deliver something so critically important in the northern suburbs has been very satisfying.
That's great. And also one more thing, Matt, when we're talking, because I think education is pretty much sorted, so it's a lot of things happening. How about the hospitals? Because that is also always, when we talk about Adelaide, there's a Flinders, then Royal Adelaide Hospital, then Law Macmillan, then Queen Elizabeth.
Queen Elizabeth
Queen
in the
Elizabeth
western
Hospital,
suburbs.
yes.
Yep.
So they are the 4 major hospitals here.
You got Modbury.
Modbury as well, yes. Is there anything more coming up towards that area, like Golas or anything like that?
Look, that's
far north?
That's not something that's under my purview, but what I would say is that investing in hospitals is a responsibility of both federal and state governments, and I am very, very happy to be part of a government that has heavily invested in our public health system, not just in South Australia, across the whole country. I think our record speaks for itself in delivering better health outcomes for Australians across the whole of this country. I think some of the frustrations that people have been feeling on the ground pertain to the fact that it's very hard to get in and see a doctor when you need it the most.
Yes.
And it's, I think, one of the real good initiatives that we had come out in our last term of government was the urgent care clinics, in being able to get to see that doctor when you need stitches, not surgery. When your doctor's surgery might be closed, but you still need to see someone, but it's not at that urgent, let's go into the hospital and choke up the emergency department.
That's why it's been showing when is the emergency, only then call 000.
Correct.
Emergency is emergency.
Look, and let's be honest, like we need our emergency departments to work for those people that are in life-threatening situations that really need critical care in a hurry. The last thing we want is having our ambulances ramped, unable to access or pick up people that need critical help. So I do think that we are doing everything we can to try and help alleviate both the needs of people in our community in getting health access when they need it, and also taking pressure off hospitals at the same time. It is a very complicated issue and it's going to take time, but I think we're taking some pretty good steps in the right direction. Do we need to do more? Absolutely we do.
We need to grow.
I think it would be naive of any government to say that the job's done and let's move on to the next issue. But we have to be responsible, and we have to be persistent and consistent in delivering better outcomes on the health front. And I think we are doing that. It is still going to take some time. We've only been in government for 3 years, so I think we've shifted the dial a bit. We've got a bit to go though.
True. That's good. Thank you. I would like to tell everyone, like ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ Honorable Matt ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਵੀ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਐਮਰਜੈਂਸੀ ਨੂੰ ਐਮਰਜੈਂਸੀ ਹੀ ਸਮਝੋ ਜੀ। ਮਤਲਬ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਵੀ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੈਂਪਿੰਗ ਹੋਈ, ਕੁਛ ਐਂਬੂਲੈਂਸਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਟਾਈਮ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿਤੇ ਐਮਰਜੈਂਸੀ ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਨੂੰ ਅਟੈਂਡ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ, ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰਾ ਰਸ਼ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਐਂਬੂਲੈਂਸ ਨੂੰ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਸੀ ਪੇਸ਼ੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਡ੍ਰੌਪ ਕਰਨ ਤੱਕ ਦੀ। ਤਾਂ ਰੈਂਪਿੰਗ ਦਾ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਰਿਹਾ। ਇਹਦਾ ਕਾਰਨ ਕੀ ਸੀ? ਐਮਰਜੈਂਸੀ ਉਹੀ ਮੰਨੋ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਐਕਚੁਅਲ 'ਚ ਲਾਈਫ ਥ੍ਰੈਟਨਿੰਗ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਹੈ। ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਪੇਨ ਹੈ, ਕੋਈ ਕੱਟ ਹੈ, ਕੁਛ ਐਸਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਜਾਏ ਬਿਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਲੋਕਲ ਸਰਜਰੀ ਜਾਂ ਲੋਕਲ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਕੋਲ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਤਾਂ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਟਰਾਈ ਕਰੋ ਕਿ ਉਹ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਨਾਟ ਓਨਲੀ ਦੈਟ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਟਾਈਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ। ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਇਲਾਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ, ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਉਹ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਐਸ ਬੰਦੇ ਦਾ ਲੈ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਐਕਚੁਅਲ 'ਚ ਐਮਰਜੈਂਸੀ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈ, ਲਾਈਕ ਹਾਰਟ ਅਟੈਕ, ਲਾਈਕ ਐਨੀਥਿੰਗ, ਕੁਡ ਬੀ ਐਨੀਥਿੰਗ, I think I'm trying to tell everyone, like, take emergency as an emergency. If this really life-threatening emergency, leave those ambulances for them, and rest will be taken care by the system anyway. Right. So thank you very much for explaining that. Even though, like, of course, as you said, there's a lot more to do and a lot more will be done as well in the due course and the time as well. This is a keep going process. It's not like, it's not a milestone is being achieved and then that's it. It's like a keep going process, and I think government will keep going.
And I think, Jolly, there's been record investments in the northern suburbs health precinct. So when I look at what we've delivered in partnership with state government in the north specifically. Like the list is pretty long.
Yes.
Part of the broader package is about really delivering whole of health solutions, I guess, in the sense that there's not one single thing that's going to fix health crises.
Yes.
So investing in multiple different fronts helps take pressure off our health system more holistically. So we have invested heavily in mental health solutions in the northern suburbs. We're investing in our perinatal and postnatal facilities. Like we've just invested $26 million in partnership with the Women's and Children's Hospital Foundation for a women's and family health hub. So these initiatives, on top of things like the Veterans Wellbeing Family Hub that'll be opening very soon, all go to helping alleviate some of the pressures we're experiencing, not just for the northern suburbs, but more broadly across the whole country. Because these are not in isolation just here specific to Spence. These are funding solutions that are being delivered across the country in different locations where there is need. And I guess that is the real big thing here, I think, from my perspective, is that our Labor government doesn't look at things and say, "Oh, look, Jolly, you're a good bloke. You need a bit of money. Here you go."
It's not like that. No, it's not going to happen.
We look at where need is and where funding's not meeting the demand, and we go, right, this is the right place to be investing in our community. And yes, not everyone always gets what they want, and I would love a lot more money in the northern suburbs, but we are getting funding to go towards solving some of our problems that we have, which is a huge improvement from where we were. And we have to treat this like building a house. You start with a good foundation and you build the bricks upon that. And you build it in such a way that the house doesn't fall down. Well, our health system is no different. Same as our education system. Has to be built on a solid foundation because then it has the ability to deliver longer term for our community. So I think that's what our Labor government's doing, and I'm extremely proud to be part of it.
That's ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਨਿਉ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਸਹੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਨਿਉ ਤੇ ਹੀ ਖੜਦੀਆਂ। ਆਨਰੇਬਲ ਮੈਟ ਬਰਨਲ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਨਾਰਥ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਲੇਬਰ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਗ੍ਰਾਂਟਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਚਾਹੇ ਉਹ ਸਕੂਲਿੰਗ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੈ, ਚਾਹੇ ਉਹ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੈ, ਅਤੇ ਚਾਹੇ ਉਹ ਇਨਫਰਾਸਟਰਕਚਰ ਹੈ। ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਲੇਬਰ ਕਾਫੀ ਐਕਟਿਵਲੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕਲੀ ਐਡਲੇਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਨਾਰਦਰਨ ਸਬਰਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਐਕਸਪੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉੱਥੇ ਪੋਸੀਬਲ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਐਕਸਪੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਵੀ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਲਓ ਫਿਰ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਜੀ ਪੁੱਛਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਮੈਟ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਜੀ ਆਦਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਮੈਟ ਬਰਨਲ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ, ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਮਲਡੂਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਏ ਅਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਵੱਡੇ ਹੋਏ ਅਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਟਰੱਕੀ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਬੜੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਛੋਟਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਅਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੜੇ ਹੀ ਮਾਣ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਆਹ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ। ਅਤੇ ਟਰੱਕੀ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ, ਮੈਂਬਰ ਆਫ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਸਪੈਂਸ ਤੋਂ। ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਟਰੱਕੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਹੁਣ ਅੱਜ ਇੱਕ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਹੈ, ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਦਿਮਾਗ 'ਚ ਕੀ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਕਿ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਉਹ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਠੀਕ ਕਰੇਗਾ। So Matt, I think you probably catch some of my words already from Punjabi, but I'd like to know a country guy, a country boy, and work as a truckie as well, and now you're a politician. You're a successful politician, we can say. What you're trying to fix, and what will you do in your tenure, and what you think, and while the time you're retired, what you'd like to do it.
Look, I think, like, first and foremost, being someone that's come through a very working class, blue collar, working life and upbringing, I think it helps to keep me grounded in a place like Canberra in Parliament, because it is a very different environment than anything I've been used to in my working life. It's an opportunity of a lifetime, and to be perfectly honest, I love every time I land in Canberra, driving up the road to Parliament House and looking at the flag on top of the building is just, I get such a buzz out of seeing that. And I pinch myself every day. Just to keep it real, because I've got an office there, and I'll be perfectly honest, I'd be quite happy with the janitor's closet there. Like, it is an absolute privilege to serve in our highest legislating
Yes.
place. As someone who did grow up in the country and has driven trucks and worked on ships,
Yes.
I think it's important to have more people like myself
Yes.
who come from a working class background, because we have an intricate understanding of how legislation affects people on the ground. And
Yes.
it is important that, myself, along with some of my colleagues like Dan Repicoli, the member for Hunter, that we keep it real in Parliament and speak in a language that I think most Australians do. And we don't convolute it with big words and fancy explanations, because at the end of the day, what we're doing in Canberra is trying to make lives better for every single person in this country. It's something that I thoroughly enjoy. I'm sure my father, who unfortunately passed away 8 years ago, I'm sure he giggles
Sorry for
up
that,
there.
yeah.
No, don't be sorry.
Yeah.
No, he had a great life and he instilled so many great values on me. I'm very, very lucky, and I'm sure he looks down and he's extremely proud. But a lot of the lessons that I learned in my life are because of him and my mother, and they have helped become part of that guiding light that helps me make decisions in tough times. And there's nothing easy about being a politician.
Easy.
We're highly criticised
Yes.
of the work that we do. Often we get very little thanks for the work that we do. But I think beyond that, if what the work that I'm doing and the bills that I am a part of with my government, they make a huge difference for the people in my community. And for me, when I drive down the street, I look around and I see a school that we provided a couple of $1 million worth of funding. I drive past the Lowell McEwen Hospital and know that we've directly invested money into saving lives there. I can walk across the road and go and see the Veterans Wellbeing Centre.
You can see
these
your
are
efforts
tangible things that I can touch, that I can see, and that I can use in my community that I've been a very big part of helping deliver. That gives me comfort, knowing that I am doing everything that I have within my powers to deliver a better future for people in the northern suburbs. And that ultimately is a responsibility of every single elected member of Parliament to represent your electorate to the best of your ability, so that when your time's finished, that you can drive through your community with your head held high and be extremely proud of the work that you've done.
Absolutely.
We've seen it with the opposition this time round, that you just don't know when your time's going to be up in this place. So you have to make the most of every single day you've got to ensure that you impart the biggest impression on your local community. And that's something that I'm very comfortable with, knowing that for the last 3 years we worked extremely hard and we delivered many great outcomes. I've got a lot more to deliver this next 3 years and hopefully for many years to come. So thank you.
Wish you all the very, very best, Matt. The tremendous work you have done, and we wish you all the best to keep doing so. And we can see the smile on your face, whatever you have done, and you're achieving, and you're being a very valuable person. You're, taking your family with you, and you can connect the things what needs to be done, and it being done with your efforts. And it's really tremendous, it's amazing. And we again from Pendu, Australia, the whole team wish you all the best for your area, and we want to see you more and more, and so that we can, and the good thing is that about labor, when we were talking before that show, like you are here, you're achievable, whenever we have something to say, always labor is being the voice of everyone, not only the migrants, I would say. Everyone can achieve, whenever we want in a need, you're there.
Yeah, look, I think the most important thing that people in my position need to be really, really aware of is that it's our job to bring people in our community together, not to be a wedge driven within our community and driving people apart. That's what true leadership looks like, and I hope that's what I can deliver each and every single day in our community, and I'm more than happy to come back on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you so much. ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਆਦਰਨੀय ਮੈਟ ਬਰਨਲ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਗਰੋਨ ਅਪ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ਿਪਸ 'ਤੇ ਵਰਕ ਕਰਕੇ, ਟਰੱਕਸ 'ਤੇ ਵਰਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਡ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੈਨਬਰਾ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਫਲੈਗ ਲੱਗੇ ਆ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗਸ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਆਫਿਸ ਹੈ ਕੈਨਬਰਾ ਦੇ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਆਪਣਾ ਹਾਊਸ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਫਿਸ ਹੈ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲੇ, ਤੇ ਹੀ ਲਾਈਕ ਐਂਡ ਹੀ ਟੇਕ ਏ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਡ ਆਫ ਦੈਟ ਥਿੰਗ ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਡਿਲੀਵਰ ਕੀਤਾ, ਤੇ ਜਿੱਥੋਂ ਨਿਕਲਦੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਗ੍ਰਾਂਟ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਚਾਹੇ ਉਹ ਸਕੂਲ ਹੈ, ਚਾਹੇ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਹੈ, ਚਾਹੇ ਇਨਫਰਾਸਟਰਕਚਰ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਇਹੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੋਗੇ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੁਪਨਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇਹੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਰਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਰਿਟਾਇਰ ਹੋਵਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਉਦੋਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਚਿਹਰੇ 'ਤੇ ਉਵੇਂ ਹੀ ਸਮਾਈਲ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਰਹੇ। ਤਾਂ ਅਗੇਨ doing the right thing because the right thing to do, the simple way we can say, and we thank you very much for joining with us today and wish you all the best.
Jolly, thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.